What's up, guys? The Beast NJ here, otherwise known as D Marchese, and this is our Captain America Civil War full spoiler review. Gloves are off, no warnings. This is your warning. Consider it your warning. I'm going in, and I'm going in hard. That's what she said. The spoiler-free review is right here. If you're in the wrong place, turn back now, turn back fast. There's lots to be spoiled in this movie. I will not say it again. I find it sad that I even have to say it because the thumbnail has a giant red text that says spoilers. So here we fucking go. First of all, I loved this movie. God damn it. It was so good, and it was everything I've ever wanted to see in a movie in 2.5 hours. And they did it, and they gave it to me, and it happened, and I loved it. And I'm going to see it again. And then guess what? When I'm done that, I'm going to go see it again. And you guessed it, after that, I'm going to go see it again. I'm going to start off with the cons just because I want to get it out of the way. So I took some notes. Cons. And I mentioned this in my spoiler-free review. Some minor CGI problems. I thought the part where Iron Man showed up at the airport and he's looking around and he takes his helmet off and he's kind of looking around. I was like, that could have looked better. You know? It wasn't a big deal. I just thought it could have looked better. When he's in the suit and the suit's clearly not really there, or maybe it's the green screen of the airport behind them. I don't know, but that looked really, really kind of like not great to me, which is weird because the stuff with Spider-Man, when Spider-Man shows up, dude, honestly, like the CGI looks so good. I was like, damn, they nailed it. And Spider-Man is I'm going to get there. Don't worry. But that was just one minor thing. The other thing is the whole thing with Zemo. Now, I don't think Zemo was like necessarily shoehorned in. I don't think that's the right way to put it. I think that's probably the way a lot of reviewers who find anything negative with the film might put it. But, he didn't feel like tacked on to me. He just felt like they needed to have a Marvel villain in a Marvel movie, you know? And there's something to be said for that. I just think if you let this stood on its own with all the stuff going on between Cap and Tony's parents and Bucky, like, first of all, the Sokovia Accords are kind of like put on the back burner. You know what I mean? Like, it becomes the initial issue, which later leads to, of course, Bucky being the one who murdered Tony's parents, and then it becomes a whole nother situation entirely. So that's fine. I'm fine with that. The Civil War-ness of it is still there. It still happened. It's just twisted, which is cool because, like, I don't know. Maybe you're a genius. I didn't see that shit coming for sure. But like, yeah, Zemo was like, they needed to have something there just to be like, oh, everyone was being played. Like, okay, sure, but I also think it could have been that much cooler if they just were like, no, this is what happened because Cap and Tony have been kind of at each other's throats all the time, and they disagree a lot, and their families argue, and they get into it, and that's why it happens. I didn't like the idea that, like, oh, because a bad guy was like kind of pulling some strings behind the scenes. Now, that's not totally what happens, obviously, if you've seen the film. I hope you have if you're watching this, but it's kind of what happens, you know, the whole army of super soldiers thing. I was like, all right, I guess. I didn't mind that so much, but the real focus should have just remained, I think, on either both on the Sokovia Accords and the Avengers fighting, and then the side thread line with Bucky and Tony's parents. I thought that could have easily stood on its own without the whole Zemo thing altogether. That said, I didn't mind Zemo. I thought the guy they got for Zemo was pretty good. I thought, it was a twist on him. He wasn't all like campy with his pink striped mask on and all. And there's not a good way to do that, I don't think, in this kind of universe. But I think they could have just let Civil War have its day without the whole bad guy thing. So that said, though both of those things said, those are really the only cons I have at all. That's literally it. I have my notes here, and that's all. So, yeah, I thought this movie was so fantastic. And what I really appreciated most probably about this is that, yeah, it's a superhero movie. There's tons of awesome action sequences. The whole scene at the airport was fucking crazy. I'm going to talk about that to an extent in a second, but the story was not put on the back burner. In fact, the action is used solely to move the plot forward, which I was like, that's how it's done, man. They are a masterclass at making these movies now, and this was like top of their game. It doesn't have, I don't know, I don't know. I've heard a couple of people saying like it doesn't have quite the emotional stakes as Winter Soldier did, but it's still like really fun. This and that. I'm like, fuck you, dude. Emotional stakes. Okay, you want emotional stakes? How about this? How about Tony finally is able to admit he's wrong. He puts his ego in check and goes to make a truce, only to find out then that the guy Cap has been defending all this time murdered his parents. Those are some pretty big emotional stakes. The hurt, the pain behind that man's eyes. And after Cap tried to cover it up and then he lied to his face and then he tells him the truth, man, like, you want some emotional stakes? Get out of here if you're going to try to tell me that the Winter Soldier had more emotional stakes than this movie. This movie played with emotion far more than any Marvel film before. There was some deep stuff in this, and I really, really appreciated it. I thought Black Panther was awesome. He just watching him fight was really cool. I loved watching him with the scene where he first goes after him and he scrapes his nails down the side of the building and he's chasing after Bucky. I was like, holy shit, this guy's awesome. He was unstoppable. He was like a real Terminator, dude. Like, you could not keep him down. I also appreciated the royal aspect of him. Like, he was a king and he was also a superhero, and you like, it was a cool balance. He's just a cool dude, period. Like, that character came off like just like the Fonzie of the Avengers. He's like so cool. I was really impressed with him. But yeah, the story, man, like they cared about the story, and the action drove that forward. And I also appreciated the way it tied back into previous films. So like a lot of people's big complaints after Iron Man 3 was like, oh, he's done being Iron Man, he got rid of all the suits. And then the next movie, it just picks up, he just forgets all about it. He's like, yep, I'm back at it. And they addressed that, right? The whole thing with Pepper. They said Pepper was going to be a key character in this, and she was. The fact that was the last thing Tony had, and he lost it because he didn't want to stop fighting. As he said, I don't want to stop doing this. He loves being Iron Man. He loves being an Avenger. He loves that world, and he loves helping. Well, what he thinks is help, what they all think is helping, which I personally think is helping. That's a whole different debate entirely, whether you're pro or for registration. But by the way, firmly on Team Iron Man still, right? I said that before this movie came out, and I was a little wishy-washy. I was like, I don't know, Cap's making a good point, blah, blah, blah. But I stuck with Team Iron Man, and I'm glad I did. I am firmly with Team Iron Man on this one. But yeah, man, the story is what's up here. And the action, let's talk about it, okay? Let's just get right to it. The fucking airport scene was like a nerd's wet dream, just in physical form. Like, what's happened, dude? So the whole thing with Iron Man, the whole thing with Tony and Spider-Man, right? That was incredible. The mentor-mentee relationship that they have got going on is like so cool. When he goes and he just like, Tony's not that kind of a guy. He doesn't emotionally open up like that with anybody. And just when he was like hesitating to put his arm on his shoulder, and he's just like, I want to help you. Like, I want to help you. It was like, oh my God, like, this is fucking awesome. Like, there's just emotion in that scene. First of all, you're seeing Peter Parker and Tony Stark on screen together for the first time in live action, and they're talking about upgrading his suit, and that whole interaction was fantastic. How he was just, Peter's so smart, and Tony's just like one step ahead of him because he knows what he's doing. It's like, that whole interaction was great. So I just want to mention that. But the airport scene, man, Spider-Man shows up and just kicks so much ass. The humor was so on point. Everything Spider-Man said was fucking perfect. It was perfect. He looked perfect. He moved perfectly. He spoke perfectly. The humor was great. I loved every second of Tom Holland as Spider-Man. Just a super big pro right there. And as you know, I am a fairly large Spider-Man fan. I both physically and emotionally. I fucking love Spider-Man so much. Always have, always will. He has been my ride or die. So it just makes me so happy to see this guy get justice in the movies. And it seems like everyone is on the same page. Like, we love Tom Holland as Spider-Man. He's fantastic. The fight with Captain America when he's like, he told me to go for your legs, and he's just like quipping around Cap, and Cap's like, all right, we're done fucking around, and then he lifts up the side of the building, and he's like, you got heart, where you from? Queens, Bronx. So I like that whole thing was awesome. I love that. I love that they addressed that. They're both from New York. I can't wait to see his interactions with people in the future in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but also that whole fight in general was insane, dude. Ant-Man becoming Giant Man, seeing Spider-Man swing around. Oh, let's talk about that, okay? First of all, we had Spider-Man swinging around Giant Man, tying up his legs, referencing Empire Strikes Back. Just think about that for a minute. Spider-Man swinging around Giant Man, referencing Empire Strikes Back to Iron Man. And I'm like, I don't understand what I did right to deserve this scene. Like, it was just above and beyond, dude. Black Panther doing his thing, whooping ass. We had Hawkeye and Black Widow going at it. Also, totally called that Black Widow bullshit. She trades. Traitor. Called it. I called a lot of things. If you've watched the movie, go back and watch my Team Cap and Team Iron Man highlight videos that I did for the Road to Civil War, because I'm tooting my own horn big time here. I nailed a lot. And that was just pure conjecture. That's just from me being a psychopath and watching trailers 900 times and looking at clips and reading. Like, I really nailed some stuff, and I'm just super, like, proud of myself. So, fuck you. I did it, and you didn't. But, man, I just, that scene was such a blur, just because there's so much goodness happening. Iron Man in himself was a huge highlight here. And it's just, well, I'm going to spend some time on Iron Man at the end, just as a whole, because it's crazy how a movie called Captain America Civil War made Iron Man, it was like Iron Man 4, and it really it gave you a new side to look at for this character, and it was like, it was just something really special. But that airport scene was fantastic. The whole, I'm sure you've seen the clip of Spider-Man catching Bucky's arm. He's just whooping on Falcon and Bucky at the same time, and they're getting so annoyed. The riffing between Bucky and Falcon, dude. When they're in the buggy, and he's like, "Can you move your seat up?" No. That killed in my theater. I was dying myself. Their interactions with each other were like some amazing comedic moments. I love that so much. I almost forgot about that. There's so much to take in when you first come home, you know. I have to see it again. And I'm going to see it again tomorrow. So, yeah, it's like that airport scene was everything that trailer promised. And that was really your big Civil War battle, you know. And you got a lot in there. You really did. You got War Machine going at it. He got taken out. That was a big thing. I didn't think they would kill him. And I'm glad they didn't, because like we had mentioned here on Power Up before, it's like, they wouldn't have shown that in the trailer if he was going to be the one to die. Also, it turns out someone did die, but not the way we thought, Peggy. Not that surprised, honestly, because I was like, they're not going to take out one of their big hitters, right? They have so many more movies going forward. They want everybody around for Infinity War. I'm still pretty convinced that someone major is going to get taken out in Infinity War. There's just, the stakes are too high there. And I also thought Peggy was dead already. So, fuck me, right? I thought she was dead. I thought her closing her eyes in Winter Soldier and Cap tearing up signified her passing. I guess not, because she does in this. But I thought that was really cool, the way they addressed Sharon Carter being related to Peggy. And they went for it, man. They went for it. And that is the one relationship, aside from Tony and Pepper, that makes sense, right? I've talked about this a million times as well. Jane and Thor never made sense. It was super rushed. But Sharon and Steve have been kind of like blooming since Winter Soldier, and then the little flirtations. He wasn't sure where her allegiance will lie, and it all ties back to Peggy, his original love interest. So like, I'm a huge fan of that. I thought that was awesome, and they didn't put too much focus on it. They just like weaved in some stuff for the future, and I thought that was really, really well done. But just to wrap up the airport scene, I don't know, what can you even say? All the Avengers, first of all, I love the lineups, right? You see the full lineup now. As you know, in the trailers, they CGI that shit out, but Spider-Man is on that lineup, and they're running at each other. They're swinging around. Everyone's fighting. Damn, that airport scene was so good. When Giant Man first goes big and Spider-Man's like, holy shit. I think we all said holy shit at the same time. It was like just a moment that happened. Giant Man. Let's talk about Giant Man. How the fuck did Giant Man happen in the movie theaters? It happened. I don't know, but it totally happened. And that was another thing I wanted to mention. Just the balancing act of characters and spectacle and action and story that made sense was like really, really impressive. This was so easy to do wrong. And not only did they do it well, but they did it like phenomenally well. They just crushed it, man. They really crushed it. And I'm just like so ecstatic that it can be done. Like we saw with Age of Ultron, all these characters, people said it was tough to balance, but it wasn't really the characters. It was all the different stories, and it was all about the worrying about the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And there is some things that tie into the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it's like this movie worries about itself. This movie worries about Cap and Tony and what their relationship is like, and it worries about what's going to happen to the Avengers, and it worries about where Spider-Man go after this. And it's great. So I want to talk about Iron Man, Tony Stark. Also, how do you take a guy who's been in almost all of these movies? You've seen all different sides of him. You've seen him go from a weapons dealer, billionaire, eccentric dude, to someone who wants to do a little bit better, to a hero, to a misguided hero. And then we see him come full circle to an Avenger. And now we see him like as a man. You know, he loses Pepper, you learn. That was his last connection to his life before being an Avenger, pretty much. And like, it's because he didn't want to stop. He didn't want to stop doing this because he believes in it. So what I mentioned in my highlight video is it's crazy because I was talking all about how the Avengers are what Cap knows as a family now. But really what happens in this is you learn it's Tony's family of the Avengers. This is everything he has, and he wants them to stay together, and that's why he wants everyone to sign so bad, because he wants them to stay together and he wants to do the right thing, and he's really trying to do the right thing. Not enough can be said for how crazy it is for them to still be doing new things with Robert Downey Jr. and the character that work on so many different levels, and he just hits it out of the park. All the little moments just between Steve and Tony in this are like, where's this been all our lives, dude? Like, they put the arguing in here and there, but in this movie it means something. It really means something. When he catches up with him in the office and they're just talking about like, is he going to arrest him and this and that? It's like, and they realize like this is larger than them, but they're also like trying to maintain their friendly relationship, and they're also like kind of brothers, and they talk like they are. And it's just so crazy. They're literally screaming at each other like brothers would at one point. And I was just like so blown away, dude. I was really, really blown away by that. And then, of course, the big twist, right? Bucky is responsible for the death of Tony's parents. And all bets are off at that point. The look of just betrayal and heartbreak in Robert Downey Jr.'s eyes, and he's just like, he killed my mom. And it's like the most basic sentiment. He killed my mom. And he says it just like that. There is no like, we're Avengers, this is wrong, blah blah blah. It's like, your friend killed my mom, fuck you. And he goes for it hard, and I'm like, oh my god, dude. Like, I don't know how you can even argue, honestly, that like, well, you can see both sides. Like, I know that's what they were going for. It's like, both sides make a pretty good case, and I'm in the theater like, no they don't. Team Iron Man makes a pretty good case. Team Cap is just wrong. So there's that. And that fight was awesome. It was so awesome. I liked a lot the little nods from Civil War, how Tony gets Friday, his new operating system, to read Cap's moves as he does in the comics when he's like, I can read your every move. They didn't do any like lines or anything from the book, but I appreciated that part being in there. And it was like a crazy good fight. Honestly, I was really convinced for a second when Cap gets on top of him and he like lifts up the armor and throws him down and gets on top of him and starts bashing him with the shield. I know better because I know these movies, I know these books, I know these characters, and I know Marvel's not going to kill off their big characters, let alone Captain America. I got to take a drink, I'm sorry. Let alone allow Captain America to kill Iron Man, but I don't know. That scene was so tense, and when he goes to lift up his shield and he throws it down, there was like a second in my soul where I was like, holy shit, this is happening. He's going to take his head off. And then, of course, he breaks his arc reactor in the chest to take him out. Like, man, Tony just lays there on the ground. The way he lays on the ground, I felt so awful. And, like, you wanted him to get back up and, like, whoop Cap's ass some more. And, like, I wanted that for him. I was like, get up, dude. Show them that they're wrong. And, like, just to get that out of me after seeing these guys and seeing these superhero movies. How many superhero movies, have we seen? To get that new emotion out of me where I'm like, get up, show them they're wrong, show them he's wrong for killing your mom, show them he's wrong for taking his side and lying to you. Like, they just got something new from me, from my heart, like from my core. Like, I felt that, and I was like, man, I felt awful for him in that scene. I just felt so bad. It was really hard to watch, but such a big payoff. And then the whole letter, the truce at the end, like, I don't know how they move forward after this. I really don't. That's a busted relationship, and I mean, obviously there's something big coming, so they're gonna have to put their differences aside eventually. But like, he killed his parents. We learned so much. It's crazy. We learned so much from Iron Man 3 of where their relationship goes with Pepper and how he wound up, just still being Iron Man after he claimed to be done and he got rid of all his suits. It goes back to what happened to Bucky, and Bucky comes back, he gets his memory back. It goes back to so much. It goes back to what happened to Tony's parents, which is something they've been teasing since Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2. And it's like, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Like, they really know what they're doing over there. And God, I just fucking loved this movie so much. And it had so much heart. It had so much action. It had so much fan service. You get Spider-Man fighting Giant Man, swinging off of the boot of War Machine, just tearing bitches apart. Like, what more can you ask for from a movie? I would be really, really surprised to hear that this did not honestly break the Avengers record. I was back and forth for a while. I was like, I don't know, it could do it if word of mouth is good, but like, I don't know, man. It's just, Avengers was amazing, right? Everybody knows that was like one of a kind. Some of the moments in that movie you'll never see again. It was the first time anybody did anything like that. Take all of these characters and bring them on to the same screen at once. But this movie brings something new to superhero movies in general, and it brings a new way to look at them, and it brings a new way to look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where like, this isn't happy-go-lucky. It's not, and everybody thinks that. It's like, Batman vs. Superman was super dark because that universe is dark. Marvel's more campy. No one's going to get hurt here. No one's going to die here. Like, Rhodey gets paralyzed. He can't walk anymore. He's trying to learn how. I don't know. Will he be able to learn how? We don't know. I don't know. Like, it's crazy, man. Like, it's not all that. Like, Cap's best friend murdered Tony's parents, who was his current best friend. Tony's lonely. He needs the Avengers. He needs a new family. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's not all happy-go-lucky. And I really appreciate that they're bringing this different dynamic to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it needed it. It did. It needed a kick in the ass. And Captain America Civil War kicked my ass. And it kicked everyone's ass. And this movie is fucking awesome. And that's pretty much all I can really muster up right now. I don't know. Did I miss anything? I don't know. We talked about it all, right? The airport scene was fucking awesome. The end scene with Iron Man versus the two of them, Cap and Bucky, I thought was super cool. But it was really that one-on-one fight that I was like down. I was like, yes. Also, I really appreciated the scene with Bucky and Cap fighting their way down the staircase, and Cap's like, "Come on, man," because Bucky was just trying to kill everybody. That was great. All the combat was amazing in this movie. It's hard to not. I didn't talk much about the action because it's like big, over the top, like amazing action sequences are what you come to expect in this, and you get them in spades, and you get them in amazing ways with Spider-Man and all this stuff going on. But it's like, that is what moved the story forward in this instance. And then like you get all of that, like I said, and you get much more in this movie. So yeah, I fucking loved it. It's probably my favorite Marvel movie today. It's easily it's my favorite superhero movie to date. It's if you can call it that. If you want to call it a superhero movie, you can. If you wanted to call it a drama, you could, honestly. There's some real depth to this film. There's some real heart there, and there were real stakes, and they play out. So, I'm sure people are probably going to be disappointed that they didn't lose anyone big. I think that's a really closed-minded way to look at this. Just because you read the book and people die, it's not the book. It's different here, but I loved it so much. I really couldn't be any happier. So, Captain America: Civil War, it happened. This is the movie I've been waiting for years and years and years. It's the moment I've been waiting for Spider-Man to join up with the Avengers. And not only do they do it, but they do it well. They play that whole thread plays so brilliantly, and you will be begging for more of Tom Holland and Tony Stark after this movie. It's like unbelievable, the chemistry there. Aunt May was even cool. I like that he calls her May too, because like it's like I remember my parents, and like I'm just gonna call you May, and they're not blood, so it makes sense. The attention to detail was super cool, and Black Panther, incredible. He played not a small role, but a smaller role than maybe most people were thinking, but he's important. He was the one that was like remembering what they were there for, remembering what heroes do, remembering that vengeance can't be the driving force for all actions. So yeah, he was awesome. He was awesome. There are going to be Black Panther figures on the action figure shelves. There's going to be posters up kids' walls now. Thank God that we have a strong African American superhero that can just really fucking kick ass on an emotional level, on an action-packed level, on a Marvel level. So, 2 thumbs way fucking up from the Beast and Jay for the Level Up Network. Go see Civil War if you haven't. I'm really sorry if you watched this if you haven't seen it, because I just ruined so much for you. It was awesome. I can't wait to fucking see it again. Remember, guys, if you liked this video, please hit the like button. It takes 2 seconds. Just a little click on that like button, and that helps us out a whole bunch. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new and you're just catching us for the first time. Hello, welcome. Please subscribe. We would really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the movie as even just half as much as I did. I'm going to go watch it like, 90 more times. And I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you later.